It's 10 o'clock. It's time for the council to be in session. We have Ms. Misakowski, Mrs. Wallers. We have 3 members present. We need 7 more for a quorum.
I can check the number ones.
It is 20 minutes after 10, and we have 8 members present. We need 2 for a quorum. We have Mr. Alatorre, Mrs. Chick, Mr. Fuhr, Mr. Hernandez, Ms. Misikowski, Mr. Ridley Thomas, Mrs. Walters. 8 members present, need 2 for a quorum. Sergeant, would you go see if you can find a couple members so we can have a quorum? Mr. Wax, Mr. Savornich, Mr. Holden, Ms. Galanter, Mr. Burnson, please come to the council chamber. I hope in the new charter you have a ability to find members that are late.
Okay.
Okay, council will come to order. Please call the roll.
Alatorre, Bernson, Chick, Fuhr, Galander, Goldberg, Hernandez, Holden, Miskowski, Ridley Thomas, Vornin, Schwax, Walters, Ferraro. 10 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Okay, the council will please come to order. This is a meeting of the City Council for the City of Los Angeles on the third day of February 1999. There are 15 council districts in the city. The regular meeting days are Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We are currently being viewed by cable subscribers throughout the Los Angeles area on Channel 35. We're also being monitored by council phone. First order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
All right, Mr. Hernandez moves, Ms. Miskowski seconds. There's no objections, unanimous vote. Next item.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
If there's no objections, unanimous vote. Next item.
On the regular agenda, item number 5, a request to be continued till February 5th.
If there's no objections, unanimous vote on that.
Item number 19, a request to be continued until February 9th.
If there's no objections, unanimous vote. All right, members, we have today the new charter presented to us, and I'd like to have Mr. George Kiefer, Chair of the Appointed Charter Commission, and Dr. Erwin Simirowski, Chair of the Elected Charter Commission, to please take the seats at the front table. Today, the Unified Charter Proposal comes to the City Council having been approved by the Appointed Commission and endorsed in principle by the Elected Commission. We'd like to hear first from George Kiefer, Chair of the Appointed Commission. George, and then we'll hear from Dr. Chmielewski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, members of the Council, and members of the Los Angeles community, on behalf of the City of Los Angeles Charter Reform Commission, I am pleased to present to the Los Angeles City Council a new unified charter for the City of Los Angeles. I understand that today is not the day for substantive discussion of the city's charter. Over the next few weeks, we will be asked to review the new charter with you in detail. So my remarks today...
George, can you wait? If it's okay with the other members of the council, why don't we let the TV cameras get behind us? They want to record this, and I think it's very important that the public understand this as well, and maybe they'll do something good for a change and something positive.
What? Yeah, probably.
Okay, George, go ahead.
All right. Mr. President, before I begin
This is what we hope they adopt.
with my formal remarks, I want to recognize the Los Angeles Charter Reform Commissioners who join us today. Your appointees to this commission represent the finest group of persons and, in fact, the finest commission I have ever worked with. So let me name their names and ask them to stand as I call their name. Almost all our commissioners are here today. Luann Boylan, Anton Kalea, Jose de Sosa, Ed Edelman, Andrew Friedman, Jerry Gaines, Andrew Henderson, Stuart Quo, Joe Mandel, Gloria Michelle, Charlie Mims, Doris Isolini Nelson, Judge James Reese, Marianne Reyes, Sharon Schuster, Robert Wilkinson, and CZ Wilson. Thank you very much, Commissioners. Secondly, I want to ask to stand Dr. Raphael Sonnenschein and the wonderful staff of the appointed commission. Under the leadership of Dr. Sonnenschein and Deputy Director Mary Strobel, this staff has received the highest praise from everyone inside and outside the government with whom they have worked. Thank you again very much. Finally, I want to publicly thank and acknowledge my charter colleague and friend, Erwin Chemerinsky, Chair of the elected Charter Reform Commission, whose courage and commitment have been a source of inspiration throughout this process. And I want to thank the members and staff of that commission as well, for the unified charter we present to you today is a product of the work of both commissions. Thank you, Dr. Chemerinsky. Mr. President and members of the Council and members of the Los Angeles community, this document in 2 volumes is the result of 2 years of research, deliberation, debate, and compromise. We began by reviewing every other study ever made of our city charter, beginning with the first such study in 1934. We reviewed every charter of every relevant American city. We have heard from literally hundreds of citizens and residents of the city of Los Angeles in open public meetings and hearings in every part of the city. And at every step of the way, we have sought input and feedback from City Hall offices. Mr. President, members of this council, this new unified charter reflects our best thinking. I am very pleased to say that it also reflects a set of agreements reached with our colleagues on the elected Charter Reform Commission. To get where we are today, everyone involved in this process had to be prepared to see things from the other person's point of view. Everyone had to be prepared to give something up. And in the end, everyone has. But the fundamental principles have been constant. This unified charter increases accountability, clarifies lines of authority, simplifies charter language, and installs new and exciting mechanisms for public involvement in government. This charter represents real change, but it also represents responsible change. You sent us on a mission, a difficult mission. There were few predictions of success, so I'm sure you can imagine how pleased we are to return to you today with a product of which we are so proud. If this is not the end of our mission, it is perhaps the beginning of the end. We believe that the City Council's review is a critical and valuable stage of this long process. The Council lives with this charter every day and will have necessary and invaluable insights into its workings. At the same time, we have tried to, in every way possible throughout this process, to bring you a complete document that is ready to be acted upon. Now, we want to thank you and the members of the Council for the support you have provided during this process. You have respected our independence. You have treated our mission with the importance it deserves. You have neither interfered with our procedures, nor have you tried to dictate our recommendations. So perhaps most of all, we thank you not only for this unique opportunity to participate in this historic endeavor, but also for the consistent and great confidence you have placed in us throughout this long process. As the elected representatives of this city, we hope that you will be as pleased as we are with the document we are presenting to you today. And we and our staff stand ready to provide any assistance you may require as you conduct your review of the process. Thank you very much.
Dr. Chemerinsky, please.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Would you introduce your members if they're here?
Mr. President, members of the Council, I'm delighted to be here today to inform you that on Monday night, the elected commission voted unanimously to express its commitment that there be a single charter proposal on the ballot in June and its support of the principles in the unified charter. The elected commission very much looks forward to working with you and the members of the appointed commission in the next few weeks to resolve our remaining few areas of disagreement and to refine the language. I just want to conclude by thanking the many members of the Council who provided us invaluable support. Many of you have come to testify before us. Many of you have offered your expertise and the expertise of your staff to our process, and your encouragement has just been invaluable throughout this process. I also want to take a moment to thank George Kiefer and the members of the appointed commission and the staff of the appointed commission for their commitment to having a single charter proposal in June and their constant good faith and good cheer through difficult negotiations.
Thank both of you. I want to commend both of you for the remarkable leadership that you have led, and we want you to know that we appreciate your leadership and dedicated work to this compromise proposal. And I want to thank the members of the commissions who have devoted themselves to the goal of achieving a charter reform program, making the city government more responsive and accountable to the people of Los Angeles. At a later date, we will take the time to extend proper recognition to you and your commission members. Today, I will leave it with a thank you for delivering a unified charter proposal. By a motion today that I have brought in, we will request our city staff to begin the necessary meet and confer process with our employee labor unions and bargaining groups, a process that is required by law before we can place this proposal on the ballot. We will also refer the unified charter to the ad hoc committee of the full city council, all 14 members. The first special meeting, again, it's in the motion today, the first special meeting will be held at 10 a.m., I repeat, 10 a.m., Thursday, February 11th, here in the council chamber. It will be broadcast live on Channel 35, and I hope the council members will be able to attend to hear the full presentation of the Unified Charter by the Chair, George Kiefer, the Executive Director, Raphael Schonenstein, and member of the Appointed Commission. And I hope the members of the public, the people of this city, will continue to take part in the process as we consider significant changes in city government. I do appreciate you coming today. We face a tight deadline. Council action must be completed by March 5th. With your help, we can get this job done, and I want to again thank you very much for this proposal.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you very
I
much.
thank the members too. Members, as you know, item number one, which is the charter today, is a public hearing item, and we have two people who want to be heard, and we're going to allow Tony DeCensi and Ted Kroll to speak, and we do appreciate if you are brief, because we will have plenty of opportunities at a later date to be heard.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I come today as a resident of the San Fernando Valley, but more importantly, as a resident of the city of Los Angeles. And only in Los Angeles would it take two charter reform commissions to be established to look at and revise the charter. But even more interesting, only in Los Angeles would it take two charter commissions to come together to present a unified charter to take the city into the new millennium. I joined this process to increase public participation and community involvement. That's what I think is accomplished through this unified charter, and I urge you to swiftly adopt the unified charter and present it to the voters. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tony. And Ted Kroll?
Okay, Mr. President and City Council members, my name is Ted Knoll, and I've been asked to represent the Civic Coalition for Charter Reform. I'll take a brief moment to let you know who's in the coalition. The African American Jewish Leadership Connection, the American Jewish Congress, Appia Vote, the Asian Pacific Policy and Planning Council, California Association of Nonprofits, Chinatown Service Center, Church of Christian Fellowship, United Church of Christ, Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights of Los Angeles, Constitutional Rights Foundation, the Filipino American Service Group Incorporated, First AME Church, I Am Foundation, Jewish Community Relations Committee, Jewish Federation, Korean Youth and Community Center, the Latin American Civic Association, the League of Women Voters, Los Angeles, the Los Angeles NAACP, Little Tokyo Service Center Community Development Corporation, the Muslim Public Affairs Council, the National Association of Latino Elected and Appointed Officials, the National Conference for Community and Justice, Search for the Involvement of Filipino Americans, the Sober Living Network, the Southern California Association of Nonprofit Housing, the Southern California Board of Rabbis, SRO Housing, Tarzana Treatment Center, the Urban League of Los Angeles, the Los Angeles Water and Power Association, and United Coalition East Prevention Project. What we would like to do is that we are all dedicated to be able to take this charter, to be able to educate, and to be able to move through our organization and to help educate the citizens. So, as members of the Los Angeles civic community, we are deeply concerned with the outcome of this charter reform, and we want to urge you to support the unified charter proposal. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. Again, to George and Irwin, thank you, and all the members of the commission. We do appreciate you coming today. And Julian Bloomley. This will be the last member to speak. They have plenty of opportunities in the future.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Julian Blomley, Los Angeles resident, and thank you for allowing me to speak. I didn't realize that you was going to be given an opportunity. As a member of the public who's been to many of both commission meetings, I strongly support much of what's in the Unified Charter, and I hope that the Council will not make any substantive changes, and that you put it on the ballot when all the technical corrections have been made. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, the public hearing is closed. This item will be continued actually until February 11th, members of the council, a special meeting Thursday, February 11th. If it's Thursday, it must be San Pedro. Next item.
Item number 3, a request to be continued by the city attorney until February 5th.
Members, item 1A, which is part of the charter presentation, is the motion that I was referring to. So if there's no objections, prepare the roll on 1A. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay, 12 ayes. You have just committed yourself to attend the meeting on February 11th. Next item.
Item number 3, a request to be continued until February 5th, 1999.
Which item what? 3. Item 3, continue until when?
February 5th.
Is there any objection to continue item 3 to February 5th? Seeing none, that will be the order. Next item.
Items number 2 and 4, items for which public hearings are required.
Anybody in the chamber wants to be heard on 2 or 4? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Is there any discussion on those items? If not, prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Next item.
Item numbers 6 through 10, items for which public hearings have been held.
Eight is called special. Any others? We have 6, 7, 9, and 10.
Item number 9, I'd like to, rather than receive and file, refer it back to the committee to keep the file open until the DWP completes the rest of its studies on the safety of our drinking water, and maybe we can look at this again in that context. So Ms. Misakowski is amenable to that, and I would just refer it back to committee, and she can hold it for when it's appropriate to bring it back.
Essentially, Mr. President, this is a status report just indicating that the study is going to be done, that there's a multi-agency task force looking at it, and by keeping it in committee, we can continue to bring the status reports to council as appropriate.
Okay, item 9 was to be continued until when? Or just to refer back to committee? Okay, if there's no objection, that will be the order. And we have 6, 7, and 10. Prepare the roll on those. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Those are approved. 8 is on the desk. Next item.
Items number 11 through 18, items for which public hearings have not been held.
11 through 18. Anybody in the chamber wants to be heard on any of those items? 11 through 18. If not, the public hearing is closed. Item 13 is both committees concur, so Mr. Hernandez will move on that. So prepare the roll. No, any special?
Yeah, I'd like just a report to be given to the full council on 14 and 15.
14 and 15 called special. Any others? If not, prepare the rolls on 11 through 18 with the exception of 14 and 15. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Forthwith on number 11.
Forthwith on number 11. Those items are approved, and we're sending forthwith on 11. Next item.
Item number 8, called special by Councilmember Wax.
Mr.
Can you get a report on what item 8?
Yeah, we do have, we've had hearings on this already, but we do have people who want to be heard, so, but that's up to you. So could we have the staff give us a report on this? Is there
Mr.
somebody
Freeman?
here on this item? There's the cowboy with his black hat today. Uh-oh.
Mr. President, I appreciate the opportunity to speak on this item. It's not just another item on your agenda. We live in a semi-arid area that many of us have forgotten would be a desert but for the water that we import. And the water that we save through your ordinance with respect to low flush toilets has been about the largest source of water that we have obtained in recent years. We are in the midst of a serious debate with the Secretary of Interior about how much of the Colorado River water we're entitled to get in the future. And our strongest argument is the courageous and persistent actions of this city council for water conservation, done long before I got here. So I can really brag about it without appearing to be self-serving. The program of installing low flush toilets is second to none in terms of its importance and in terms of the example that we're setting for the rest of the state. And it's the strongest argument we have in arguing for a fair share of the water from the Colorado River. And the action that you take today will be very important, one way or the other, in terms of our ability to have an argument based upon the fact that we're using the water efficiently and the farmers are not in the Imperial Irrigation District and elsewhere. And it's a very powerful argument. In terms of this particular amendment, I think everybody in this room knows that the time you get something done in the sale of a house is at closure. I mean, there's just not a whole lot of debate about it. Either this transaction is consummated and completed at the time of closure, just like the termite inspection and every other thing. We don't have a serious enforcement policy. If it's not, we have an impossible enforcement situation on our hands. So the last thing in the world this council wants is to have a DWP police force going out trying to catch people one at a time as to whether or not they've installed the new toilet or not. So let's just get real about what we're talking about. In my view, you're talking about whether you effectively are going to repeal the implementation of the ordinance or not. There's been a lot of investment of political courage and steadfastness by this council thus far on this issue, and we use it to great success in the water policy councils, and we use it to great success in achieving a water supply at the lowest cost. So I beg of you to stay the course and adopt the ordinance that you've already adopted by rejecting any changes in it. Thank you very much.
I'm going to call on Mrs. Chick first, and then Ms. Galanter, and Mr. Pure, then Mr. Burnson. Yeah, well,
Yes, thank you, Mr. President.
I go according to the people.
First of all, let me begin by saying that I am very, very supportive of ensuring that our residents benefit and that the city benefits as a whole from the very real results, positive results, that we have seen from the installation of low-flow toilets. I have supported Mr. Bernson's motion that came to Public Safety Committee, not at all because I want to undo or make less effective the ordinance that we have passed, but because I felt there were very serious flaws in terms of how we were implementing, administrating, and enforcing the ordinance. And I'm still not sure what the enforcement program is and would appreciate hearing from Mr. Freeman about that when I'm finished with my remarks. But what we have done, colleagues, is we have said it is the home resident, the user of the home, the buyer of the home, that is going to reap the benefits of installing low-flow toilets. And yet, we have mandated that it's the seller who will install that toilet. It has been seen, even through surveys that DWP has done, that the savings of water that we so desperately need to achieve here in Southern California have not reached our hoped-for levels because, unfortunately, there are manufacturers who have put low-flow toilets on the market that don't work very well and, in fact, end up using more water rather than less. If it is the buyer of the home that reaps the long-term benefits of water conservation as well as society as a large, is it not the buyer that has the greatest incentive to spend more money and install a higher quality toilet? In addition, when toilets are removed, very often there is other involved and often expensive work that ends up actually being improvements to a bathroom, such as tile that has to be replaced and other interior decorating types of things that far exceed the $100 rebate that's offered, and also again provide for disincentives for the seller to install the top quality toilet that we are looking for that achieves the results that we want and need. I'm a bit puzzled because in Public Safety Committee, we heard from DWP and did not hear that there would be great increased costs and problems with enforcing the program effectively, changing it to be the buyer that's responsible rather than the seller. And yet, when it went to my colleagues' committee, that information changed radically. So in your response to me about enforcement and how that's going to work effectively, if you would also explain the changes from one committee to the other, I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Let me say that I just got through selling a house, and take 100 items. For example, termites in the house. Getting rid of the termites benefits the purchaser, not the seller, but yet the seller must get it done before the house is sold. I mean, there are all kinds of items that have to be cleared up at the time of sale, and it's reflected in the sales price. This is one where the rebates and all make it virtually painless. I appeared only at one committee, and quite frankly, I don't know what was said in other committees, but I know, as a matter of fact, as the person responsible for administering the Department of Water, that it's just almost obvious that if we can't get this done at the time of closure, we then have a job of going after...
Freeman, I asked you to talk about the implementation program, how we're implementing if we keep the program as you are advocating.
And I'm trying to explain to you, ma'am, that I think it's an impossible job. That's just my...
She's asking about the program as it stands now. Yeah.
Oh,
How is the department implementing and enforcing the ordinance as it stands, contrary to what the Public Safety Committee is recommending?
Well, the ordinance has been in effect, as I understand it, since January the 1st. The new version of it that requires this to be installed at the time of sale. So I don't have any data on that
So you don't know how we're enforcing it?
Well, it's been in effect for 1 month, and I don't know how many.
Well, I think it was accompanied with an
Mrs. Chick,
enforcement plan.
why don't you press your button again? Ms. Galanter?
First of all, I'd like to move the Commerce, Energy, and Natural Resources report, and then I would, thank you, and then I would like to say the following. As Mr. Freeman just pointed out, the ordinance that the Public Safety Committee seeks to amend has been in effect for a month. The research my office has done shows that the number of calls coming into the Department of Water and Power asking about the program to retrofit existing situations has increased very dramatically as people begin, who have previously not taken this program of retrofitting into their own lives, begin to consider doing it. The fact is, nobody would have this issue at all if everybody who has not yet retrofit their house had done so, and everybody has the opportunity to do so. You don't have to wait until you're selling the house. This new ordinance that we adopted, which we're now discussing whether to amend, basically said for those who haven't gotten around to it, because the program saves so much water, we want to give them an extra opportunity. We want to give the city an opportunity to benefit from the water conservation. It is not only the buyer who benefits. I think if you were listening to Mr. Freeman's opening comment about the Secretary of the Interior and the Colorado River water, the important point here is that we all benefit because we don't have to pay to import new water supplies. And we are not saying to everybody, you must run right out today and retrofit and get rid of your water guzzling toilet and get the low flow kind if you don't want to. We have a rebate program, an incentive program if you do want to. It does cut your water bill, I can vouch for that. But you don't have to do it if you don't want to. But because for the public it matters to have it done, we need to get every house that we can retrofit. And the point of sale is a convenient time to do it because the buyer and the seller are negotiating everything they negotiate in a sale anyway. With respect to the enforcement, the problem with the proposed amendment, it seems to me, is that it requires that somebody go find out on any given day how many houses were sold 12 months ago, how many escrows closed 12 months ago, and go back and revisit each of those escrows to find out whether the retrofit was done. That is going to be costly. Whoever is going, it's either not going to work at all, which is what I think is going to happen, or it's going to cost us a whole bunch of money for somebody to be sitting there looking at one-year-old escrow records to see who they should call up to check on whether the toilet was retrofit or not. When the house is in escrow, when you have a buyer, a seller, and a realtor all thinking about it at the same time, is a good time to get it done if it wasn't done before that. Anybody who buys a house where the toilet has already been retrofit is on their own. If they want to tear up the bathroom and put in a different toilet, that's their problem. The seller is off the hook if it's already done. And the goal here, it seems to me, is twofold. One is to make a simple process that's not expensive to enforce, and most importantly, to save the water. And in order to do that, I believe we should leave the ordinance that's been in place for a month in place. If we discover a year from now that there's something wrong with it and it's not working and there's a problem, that's the appropriate time to go back and revisit it. But we have no indications yet that there is a problem. We just have a bunch of people complaining and saying we don't want to do it. And they're not the buyers and the sellers. The people who are complaining are the real estate people. And I don't know why they're complaining, because most of the real estate people I know are very active in their communities, do all kinds of civic contributions, and this is a really important one for our survival. So I urge adoption of the Commerce, Energy, and Natural Resources Committee report.
Thank you. I'm going to call on Mr. Burnson because it is his motion, Mr. Fuhrer. I'm sure you understand.
Yes, members of the council. First, let me say that I commend Ms. Galanter for her action on trying to conserve water. It's very important. We all know that. The only problem that has been created by this is the fact of when it's imposed. Now, one of the key industries in our community is the real estate industry. And unfortunately, they were not aware when this motion came through. Originally, I think they probably would have raised as many objections as they did to the gas shutoff valve ordinance, which incidentally runs parallel to this, except that it is in effect 12 months later they must do it. And it's enforced by Building and Safety Department. Contrary to what that ordinance is being enforced, you have no plan for enforcement on this right now. As a matter of fact, you're not doing any enforcement, and you're not even sure how you're going to do it. And the fact of the matter is that the enforcement would be no different now, at the point of sale, than it will be 12 months from now if it's handled by Building and Safety, as it rightfully should. Now, I have a great deal of respect for Mr. Freeman. I think he's done a good job with our department, and I just hate to contradict him on this particular thing, but I think it's important. You know, all the things that we do that are good environmental things are great, and we should do them. But we also have to have a mindful thought about how it affects the business and economy of our area. That's important also. So I'm not asking that we undo Ruth's ordinance. I think it was great that she did this. In fact, it wouldn't be so terrible if this is really, if we could set a quality of unit that doesn't require 2 or 3 flushes. It might not be bad to require the entire city to change to these types of toilets, rather than just pick on an industry that depends upon getting an escrow closed, and it is critical. So, Mr. Freeman, I don't know if you have a plan for enforcement. From what I heard, it's only been in effect, but apparently there's been no thought. There's been some escrows that have been closed since the first of the year. Now, has there been any inspection of these, to your knowledge? I just take a yes or no. Well, what do we want to do? Oh.
I know we're on your time, but when we discussed the ordinance originally, one of the issues which the real estate community raised was the inspection. So we said we're not going to have inspections of residences. We're going to have a certification by the agent, the real estate agent.
Okay, fine.
That's all they have to do.
Okay, fine. You have a certification, but it still requires a problem. And we have a certification on the smoke detectors. It's a sign-off on the 9A. Am I correct on that, real estate people out there? 9A sign-off. If we're going to have a voluntary thing, why not just have people sign off on a 9A? Or have them do that after a year? You know, this program, unfortunately, while it's well-intended, and it is a good program, I will not deny that, it is important that we conserve our water, even though it isn't as dire as some of the DW people want to tell us it is, because we don't use our full allotment of water that we have available to us now. We only use a very small portion of the Metropolitan Water District water which is available to us, and there's a reason for it, because our water is cheaper and better. I understand that. I'm not asking any comment right now, Mr. Freeman. Anyway, what I'm asking members of the council, I think you should consider this seriously. We need to find, if this thing is an ordinance that's worth enforcing, it should be enforced. Not just because people sign off on it, not because we have a 9A. And this is a little different than a termite inspection. A termite inspection determines the quality of the house. This is something that is arbitrary, and this is something that's not required of people who own their house and are not selling it. So there is a vast difference between that. So I would suggest, and I'm going to move the Building and Safety, pardon me, the Public Safety Committee as an alternative motion, and I would move approval of that. And I think that we should also ask the Building and Safety Department to get together with Mr. Freeman and Water and Power and find a means of enforcing this, and there is a means of doing it. I know we're doing it with the gas shutoff valve, which doesn't come into your category, but it is being done, and it is a way that ensures that the work is done. So that's my comment. I would ask for an aye vote on the Public Safety Committee report.
Okay, Mr. Fuhr.
Mr. President, Mr. Freeman wants to respond. I'll wait till he's done.
It just seems to me that the council should be very proud of the law that they have passed. It is self-enforcing. The requirement that this be done at time of checkoff gives the buyer and seller another item on their checklist, and I think we should be proud of the fact that you've enacted something that doesn't require my department to be the policeman. It's self-enforcing. We will accept the certification, and if a year from now on spot checks we find that that's inadequate, but this is your approach, which I think is excellent, and it seems to me very, very premature to talk about changing it before the ink is dry and we've had any experience with it.
Okay, Mr. Fuhr.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to rise in support of the Commerce Committee recommendations here. We had a very extensive, thoughtful, and good exchange of views in the Public Safety Committee on which I serve. I don't serve on Commerce. And we heard from the realtors who are really experienced in the practical workings of ordinances like this. And I respected that input and the whole discussion very much. But ultimately, I was a dissenter from the Public Safety Committee report, which puts me on the same team with Commerce, because first, and I think that Ruth actually has it exactly right. There are two basic reasons to do this. One is the most important, and that's providing an incentive at the earliest possible moment to conserve water. And indeed, one aspect of this that hasn't really been fleshed out here is is the that's unintentional slips of tongue or bad news, is the fact that if we know that the seller is responsible for making this change, there's an incentive to do it sooner, an added incentive to do it sooner rather than later, indeed even before a prospective sale, because one knows that at some point one is going to have to change out the toilet, and one might as well get the significant water savings and monetary savings that come from doing that. This is not just an MWD issue. This is a much broader issue in the city. And it's not only about trying to reduce the water we use, but it's also about reducing the burden on our sewage system. There are lots of benefits to this whole approach, and I think from an enforcement standpoint, as I said in committee, it is easier to do this at point of sale. The realtors say, with some force, that at some point you can't continue to add another burden to the sale process. I understand the argument. I don't consider this to be the straw that breaks that camel's back, however, certainly not when compared to the countervailing benefits to all of us in the city and to sellers at early stages of the process themselves. So, strong support for the Commerce report. I think Ms. Galanter has stated the rationale very clearly, and I do support it.
Okay, Mr. Hernandez.
Mr. President, members of the council, I was sharing with Mr. Deaton that what came to mind right now is that an old saying that the principles of man will always be corrupted by the politics of man, and now we're talking about toilets. I tend to agree with Mr. Friedman. I tend to agree with Ms. Galanter because of realities. I have bought a house. I bought several houses, but the reality is when I bought that house, there were certain negotiations that happened. One of them was a termite clearance. The other one was that it had proper working parts. But then I had to go through a lot of remodeling and fixing and making the house the way I wanted it to be, and that was my own doing. Now, part of what's bothersome to me right now is if I was to follow the logic that Mr. Bernsen is trying to utilize for the amendment, I don't want someone coming into my house a year, 9 months, 10 months to do some work that should have been done prior to me purchasing it. I mean, to me, I want to have an understanding what I'm buying when I'm buying it, and then it's my house. And then I got really confused, and again, with respect, I was trying to listen to what Ms. Chick was saying, and I think that those things are going to happen anyway by a buyer because they're going to want to make the house their house and fix the tile, put the tile they want, if they want to change it or not change it. Our issue is making sure there's a low flush toilet in the dwelling at the time of sale. And that's why I tend to agree, because the only way you can enforce it is through escrow negotiations. I mean, the only way you could see it in place. All the other stuff, I just think different things are going to happen. Or else people would be building their own houses. They'd be buying lots and putting them the way they want. Our reality today, I think that people are looking at a financial decision sometimes, and they don't have the ability to look at the long-term program of the savings, and so they're not making the changes. We've provided as a department some strong incentives for them to make those changes, and they're still not happening. So again, I'd like to give the ordinance as stands a chance. I agree with Ms. Galanter's report, And, that's the position I want to take right now. And then if I find I need to flesh something else out, that's what we'll do.
Mr. Alatorre?
Could I just ask, is anybody from Building and Safety here? Who? Where are they? Can somebody tell me, if we were to go along with the Public Safety Committee report, can you state for me clearly that the department will not come back and say that they do not have the resources upon which to accomplish this, and because of that, they are going to be in need of extra staff to be able to accomplish what it is that is self-regulated or self-driven now? I already know about the inspectors. They're doing shut-off valves. I mean, and according to Mr. Burnson saying that the very same people are going to be doing this, and you're not going to need more staff or anything else. Is that a correct assumption?
To properly, this is Dave Lara with Building and Safety. To properly answer your question, currently the enforcement staff that we have for the general inspectors that will inspect plumbing do inspect under a permit currently. Now, once the homeowners have the obligation to obtain a permit, we will then be notified, and regular staff will be used for those inspections.
No, wait, don't. Hell, come on. I just want to, I know what I'm asking. So go on. So just answer me. Number one, will you, and that's all I want to find out. I mean, because, if, in fact, according to Mr. Burnson, it can be done by existing staff. See, I sit on the Budget Finance Committee, and I know that any time that we ask a department to do something, they'll accomplish it under the present budget, and then next year come back and say they can't do it, and we have to charge a fee, or we have to, increase the size of the staff. So I just want to know clearly whether in fact that will be the case, or it's going to be a wash and no extra staff is going to be needed, and the like, and it can be implemented in a very expeditious manner.
At this time, Councilman, I don't have the additional information to give you a
Very good.
informed decision.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Holden?
Members, I think the way you start is by saying how many properties were transferred in the city of Los Angeles last year? And do you have a quick answer? Yes or no? Do you have a quick answer? And as they begin to answer that question, say it was 20,000 pieces of property. Then, of course, if the escrow closes and you got 11 months to install the low-floor toilets, then, of course, 11,000 pieces of mail have to go out from Department of Water and Power saying that you will have 1 month to comply. And, of course, a set of circumstances could develop where that would become unfeasible, unreasonable. Time, it's not a lot of money. And I've done a lot for the real estate agents and the board of realtors. And I mean, the property transfer tax, I was the only one against it. I've been with you. But this should make a difference whether you're going to sell the house or not. It really doesn't. It's a minor cost, $100, $150. Okay, please, ma'am. It's not going to make that much of a difference whether you're going to sell a piece of property or not. The fact of the matter is that we have a policy that says you have to have a low-flow toilet. Now, you are adhering to that policy in 1B because you said a home buyer who do not comply with this ordinance, a 10% penalty on water bill starting 30 days after the 12 months would follow. I mean, you're getting really tough. So that is your policy. You want this thing done. And if you really want it done, then do it. Ounce of prevention is worth better than a pound of cure. Therefore, you do it in advance. State law requires that you have a termite inspection. State law requires that if there's any other defects associated with the property, you have to have a sign off, and the buyer must be made aware hey, this is policy for the state. We have water shortages. I mean, I must tell you that when I had an opportunity to put the low flush toilet in my house, that's what I did, both toilets. Anybody elected to do so should be required to do it prior to the sale of the property. I mean, it's difficult for me to choose between Lori Chick and Ruth Galanter because they're always beating up on me. So therefore, I go to the issue. And the issue, I'll go to the issue. And the issue is that we should vote for Ruth's committee's recommendation. This is absurd to have a policy and then not enforce it and then have it drag on to some later date. I mean, on those shut-off valves, there was no problem with ramming it down the people's throat. I didn't vote for it. Real estate people were against that. Well, no, some of them, they didn't come tell me they were against it. But on a common sense, I said no. If you want to have your house that safe, then you install that shut-off valve. If you don't, then you blow up. That's your choice. But in this case, we have to raise our water bill based on the amount of water that comes into us through the aqueduct or wherever. And then if you are not going to do your share, then you have to pay. And what I'm saying, we're not going to force you to pay because you may not have the money, but you can install a toilet, and that's what you ought to do. And so, low flush toilet. And, you know, it doesn't take much. When Gil Lindsey was here, he would tell a good story about that, so I won't. Thank you very much.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Miskowski.
Members of the council, I think a lot of the debate has been put forward. What we've been told by staff from at least one level is that if we defer this, if we change course, at best, according to the Building and Safety Office, there's uncertain expectation on the cost, the employees, the nature of going to this alternate course. At worst, according to Mr. Friedman, it's going to be an impossible job to enforce. The issue of concern and cost in terms of the buying and selling of a house, I think also was indicated by Mr. Freeman. Up front, it's an item to be negotiated. It's the obligation on the seller, but it's an obligation that the seller and buyer can discuss, can negotiate, can deal with, and either go, if the buyer is not concerned, with the cheapest toilet on the market as in place by the seller, or the buyer says, I'm concerned, I want something better than the lowest cost, I want something different, and I'm going to add it to all the other lists that are part of the negotiation, part of the escrow instructions, part of the things that need to be fulfilled between buyer and seller outside of the obligations of state law and or city law. So I have not heard anything that I think is truly persuasive other than that we would be deferring it, deferring the benefit, and not certain of the true impact of enforcement or the true enforceability of it. So with all those uncertainties, I can't see why it's appropriate that we change the course. If there are problems, as is indicated, as we have this in place, as we all get it under our belt and have the experience out there and let people come back and tell us what is going on in terms of reports or what is wrong with the mechanism, if there is anything wrong, we can look at it for adjusting later. But let's go out, stay the course, get started, see what the reaction is, and start accomplishing what the underlying policy, public principle has been, which is to conserve water, to get it out there, and also saving the money in the long run for everyone who's using the water.
Can I, before we call on the next speaker, we have many people that want to be heard on this item. And I don't know if we've had a public hearing on this, what the intent is and what the desire. Huh? We've had a public hearing in both, okay. Well, you know, then I will entertain a motion if we want to have a public hearing. No, excuse me. I am only, look at, we have these numbers. It is up to this body whether they want to have a public hearing or not. That is all.
I move that we have a 10-minute public hearing. There's a lot of people who came down and spoke.
I don't have it. There's a motion. Is there any objection?
I second that.
All right, then open the roll on a public hearing. Close the roll. The prevailing side.
11 ayes, 1 no.
Thank you. All right. Now, I would suggest that we move to public hearing. We'll have 5 minutes on each side. Is that agreeable? All right. We will begin. Francis Weber, followed by Richard Owens, followed by Maureen don't have my glasses, so I mean, Maureen, wherever you are. You happen to live on Sepulveda Boulevard, Maureen. All right, so we'll begin. Yes, ma'am.
I won't repeat any of the arguments. My name is Frances Spivey Weber. I'm the Executive Director of the Mono Lake Committee. You will be saving water. Not only you'll be saving money, but you'll be saving the Santa Monica Bay, and you'll be saving the environment. Others will speak to the community issues. I would add that price is not what determines the quality of the toilet. I have one of the lowest cost toilets. It works. The buyers can benefit if they put in the toilets now. The programs are there for them to do it.
Okay.
That's it.
All right, next.
Hello, everyone. My name is Richard Owens. I'd just like to represent myself as a concerned citizen who was formerly employed at one of the community-based organizations who distribute these low-flush toilets in Los Angeles. What I'd like to say, first of all, that not only California's local communities or governments, but municipalities around the world see Los Angeles as an example and a model to emulate and to follow, and that this on-off thing that we're going through now with this toilet distribution or not to distribute these toilets by way of the home sales and whatnot is something that is really cutting into the distribution of the toilets. And I think that our goal is to save water in the long term. Third thing I'd like to mention is that these community-based organizations, two of which are within 5 miles of my property, that they both do an excellent job of distributing these toilets, and that the homes in that area that I live on 105th off of Central Avenue, we don't have the $10,000 floors to replace and repair. When you put a toilet in, it's a very simple thing to do, and there's a lot of toilets that are distributed. Another thing I'd like to mention is that there's income derived by the people distributing these toilets and these CBOs. At WCAC, where I did work, we had 7 people who were unemployed prior to the distribution of these toilets, and that amounted to about $12,000 per household in their incomes, and that's what we need in our economy. The last thing I'd like to mention is that if there are 20,000 homes sold in Los Angeles at approximately a bathroom and a half or 2 bathrooms per household, those CBOs are compensated about $25 a toilet. It amounts to about $850,000 among 6 different CBOs that contribute to the economy of the people who formerly were not employed in Los Angeles. And with that, I'd like to close it. I'd like to see these people continue to have their jobs.
Very good.
Thanks.
All right, next.
Hi, my name is Maureen Besnick, and I'm representing Honeywell DMC. We're the implementation contractor for the CBO ULFT distribution program and previously the rebate program. And through this, we've distributed over 700,000 toilets. Through the Department of Water and Power and ourselves, we've done surveys, customer satisfaction surveys on these toilets, and virtually 90% of the customers like these toilets as well or better than their old toilets. They have to pass the same rigorous testing that the old high-volume test toilets had to pass.
Very good.
And also, just to speak on the convenience factors, that we have 6 sites throughout the city where customers can get free toilets. The toilets that we offer are high quality. They have large tanks and large footprints, so they're going to, when you replace them, they're going to be the exact same size as the one that you're replacing. We even have programs where we deliver them to customers' homes. We pick up the old one. We offer $25 installation, so the cost of these to the customer is $25. You're going to make that up in a couple months in water savings.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, Mel Wilson, we'll listen to the proponents for the Public Safety Committee report. Mel Wilson, followed by Lynn Rinker, followed by John McGuire, I think, McGuire. Yes,
Is
sir.
mic on? Thank you.
Yes,
if I
sir.
could have the council's attention for just a moment. I know most of you have already made your minds up, but if you would just kind of listen in. Let me share with you a story. Imagine that you live in the city of Los Angeles, that you're working, you earn $30,000, $40,000 a year, trying to raise your family, and you want to be a law-abiding citizen. And here your government tells you that they're going to add on another layer of requirements for you. You want to comply with water savings. Why? Because your water bill will go down. You want to divert wastewater. Why? Because your sewer service charge will go down. We are not opposed, homeowners, property owners are not opposed to water savings or water diversion. We're not asking that you repeal this ordinance. However, we are asking these things. 3 things. Number 1, we believe that the owner should have up to 12 months to pick Mr. Ridley Thomas, to pick the type of device that works best. We believe that the city should have a public awareness program. If you ask the Department of Water and Power today, what do they have, what do they do to notify people, they'll show you a letter that they sent out to some property owners. They will show you an article that went out in the newspaper prior to January 1. That's their public awareness program. We think that's heavily flawed. We want to work with you, council. We're not trying to repeal this ordinance. We think it needs to be made better. We believe there's language in the ordinance that is not clear. We think that you ought to clear that language up. Folks don't know what type of toilet complies. How are they to know? So, the real costs are much more than the toilets themselves. There are vested interest folks here who want to go out and provide the service. We don't want them to stop from having jobs. We're not against that at all. They can do that now, 6 months from now, 11 months from now. And this whole notion about no enforcement. There are penalties in the Public Safety Committee's recommendation. If you do not comply, there's a 10% surcharge. Then it goes up to 50%, and then 100%. If you will look at your water bill, the sewer service charge is the highest component of your water bill.
Mr. Wilson, there's other people who want to speak, and there's only 3 minutes left.
Thank you. I would have called up Ms. Rinker, but let me conclude by saying we're just asking for 3 things. Give us up to 12 months.
Remember, I promised you I'd never listen.
Have an effective public awareness program that works, and give us some clarifying language. Don't shove this down the people's throat. Don't make us lawbreakers. We don't want to be lawbreakers. We want to comply with you. It's in our interest, too.
Thank you. All right, Lynn Rinker, followed by John McGuire. All right.
Good morning, President Ferraro, members of the council. I'm Lynn Rinker, immediate past chairperson of the Government Affairs Committee, and I'm here today on behalf of the Southland Regional Association of Realtors, a trade organization representing some 10,000 real estate professionals in the greater Los Angeles area. Representatives of our association and the Los Angeles Association of Realtors are present in the audience, and I ask that they stand at this time to show their support for this proposed amendment. Thank you. Again, I want to reiterate that our association and realtors throughout the area support the council's goal of water conservation, and we applaud your efforts in that direction. At the same time, we sincerely believe that the proposed amendment will actually help you to achieve the goal better than the original ordinance for the following reasons. Uniformity will allow time for the consumers to understand what's expected of them. It's consistent with the manner in which the gas valve ordinance is being enforced, and it will allow the consumers, again, to be participative. We've talked about the cost factor. Unfortunately, my experience in this business is that the cost of replacing a toilet can far exceed a couple of $100s and run to several $1,000s. That's based on my actual experience working with buyers and sellers and not dealing with multi-million-dollar homes. And again, efficiency, for this ordinance to actually work and achieve its goal of saving water, it's necessary that the residents, the homeowners, buy into and cooperate with this program. A home buyer who has purchased a home in which a toilet that does not work was in place by the prior seller may not really care that it isn't working very well. He doesn't have anything involved in that. Thank you. Let me defer to John.
Yes, sir. My name is John Maqua, members of the City Council. I am a past president of the Southland Regional Association of Realtors, but today I'm not speaking on behalf of organized real estate. And I'm also an owner of a Prudential real estate office in the San Fernando Valley. And I'm really speaking more on behalf of what we're already running into, and this has to do with all of the members of the public that we actually serve, you and us. We serve the public of this community. The difficulty that we run into in this situation many of the areas have already been dealt with and have been addressed. I would ask you to think of one thing. I've heard Mr. Hernandez talk about remodel. I'm sorry? Okay. Think in terms of dealing with the home when you actually buy the home. The seller is taking the least expensive way to comply with this ordinance. The buyer, when they move into the home, it is ultimately will pit the buyer against the seller. And I suggest to you very strongly, I would be available if anyone has any questions.
All right, your time is up, and the rest of the people that have cards will be making part of the record in support of the Public Safety Committee report. All right, Mr. Wax.
Well, Mr. President, members of council, I'm a little torn on this one. The reason I'm one of the people, 2 or 3 of us, I think, who voted against the whole thing. And I'd voted against it originally for really a couple of reasons. One, I wasn't sure of the efficiency of the devices, but secondly, the process by which we did it and the exclusion of commercial. We first had an ordinance here that included commercial as well as residential, and then the downtown business people came down here and lobbied everybody, and all of a sudden they were out of it. And the homeowners, the average person who buys and sells a home who doesn't have a voice here, was in it. And I always find that kind of a process reprehensible. But that was the reality. And that's the reality of a lot of things around here. So today, finally, the people who represent some of the individuals who are now in it are down here. I'm glad we're having this for no other reason than more people are getting involved in the process. It is one of the basic problems around here of who has the ear and who's here and who really influences the decisions that are made, and how the broad public, who are the ones that pay the bills all the time, rarely have the direct input. They're a special interest in a sense too. The real issue of things like neighborhood councils is that it not just deal with issues in neighborhoods, but that before the city government passes laws that affect all the people in the city, there's some mechanism through which they can have some input, some discussion, some influence in the decisions. This would be a classic example. If everyone who owns a house in this city has to have a low flush toilet, they ought to darn well have a say in the promulgation of the laws that create that. But they never do. The only people that get the say are the people who represent interests. In this case, the interests for the commercial were down here. They got excluded. Now we're having this. So I voted against it in a lot out of the reflection of the process by which this came about, as do other things. The other side of me, however, says if you're going to have a law, this is a much more readily enforceable law when you're closing escrow on the sale of a house than it is a year later. So I'm torn. I have to admit, it's hard for me. The one hand says if I didn't vote for this in the first place, I'm going to certainly support the public safety. On the other hand, there is the logic behind this. Let me ask, before I make up my mind, Mr. Freeman, to tell me, where are you? Why do you still distinguish between commercial and residential, and where are you on making this applicable, if it is such a good idea, to everybody in the city?
Quite frankly, sir, I just accept your ordinances.
Oh,
as
yeah,
they're
now
written.
you're just accepting our ordinance.
Joel, it was building and safety
I want
that
Mr.
objected,
Freeman, I
but
want
it
Mr.
wasn't his
Freeman not to get
department,
off
it was
the hook.
building and safety.
I'm asking Mr. Freeman, where are we? I want you to answer the question. Don't just say you're leaving it up to us.
Honestly, the commercial should have been included.
Should not have, or
should have been. But,
okay, then why weren't they?
I wasn't here. I don't know.
Oh, I wasn't here.
Well, I really don't know.
Mr. Wax, he didn't write the ordinance, and
I've
it wasn't
answered
his
your
motion.
question honestly.
All right, Ms. Galanter.
Well, let me see if I can answer that. Joel, the reason, when we started this program, however many years ago it was, when I brought in the original ordinance, which is, 8 or 10 years ago now, I think, the building and safety, he was not here, the building and safety department at that time came to me and said, I can't remember the details of the problems they cited, but they were concerned that the volume of use and in commercial buildings was such that the toilets available at the time, they were worried were not able to handle what they would have to handle. What they also said at the time, and we agreed to it in the original ordinance, that we would not put the ordinance into effect. This was the one that required new construction to have low-flow toilets, until they had tested the models that were available to make sure that only certain models that actually worked would be available. You know and I know that every plumber in town says these are all terrible. They've been saying it for years, but somehow they've been working for years, and the amount of water saved suggests that they must be working because we're saving a tremendous amount of water. But it was Building and Safety that originally said to us that we could not prudently include commercial buildings at that time. I confess to you, I have not gone back to Building and Safety since then and said, can we do it now? But now that you've suggested it to me, I'm going to. And once we have done it for commercial property in one form, of course we should do it for commercial property at any stage of the property's ownership. The problem here is that our whole ordinance requiring low-flow toilets does not apply to commercial property. Nevertheless, it does apply to residential property. People are saving money. 700 and something thousand toilets have been retrofitted, in addition to the ones that have been installed in new construction in that time. And the question, so that's all we're dealing with. And I appreciate that it doesn't meet all your needs, but it really doesn't. I just want to say one more thing on my time, which is that a point that I think has been made, but I just want to mention one more time. I always get a kick out of this when, here I am, a liberal Democrat, and I get up saying we need less government. The fact is that the enforcement mechanism this council adopted is one that does not require a city bureaucracy to be involved. It basically accepts the buyer, the seller, and the real estate agent, and the real estate agent's obligations through their licensing procedure. We accept that they are going to tell us the truth if they tell us that the retrofit has been made. I remember when I bought my house, there was an issue over it. The sellers wanted to take one of the light fixtures. So part of the escrow instructions were that the dining room light fixture went with the sellers, and the bedroom light fixture stayed with the house, and I was buying one and not the other. You can do the same thing with the toilet as part of the escrow instructions. It's a whole lot easier to do it in escrow instructions than any other time.
Yes, you have. Mr. Burnson.
Yeah, let me just add a couple things. I think most everything's been said. First of all, we currently have a program in place on gas shutoff valves that requires the Building and Safety Department to enforce. They have a one-year period in which to install them. There's no reason why this can't run concurrently with that. There needn't be any further cost. The inspector's going out to inspect see if the gas shutoff valve has been installed or it hasn't been installed. They can easily do the same thing with the toilet at that time. So that's not an excuse. And that is, by the way, enforceable. So we're talking about enforcement. If this is a voluntary thing, let me ask the question. If I'm buying a house and the seller and I and the realtor get together and say, I don't care about the toilet, what happens then? Do we have to enforce it or what? This is self-enforcing? What happens if the buyer and seller agree that they don't want the low-flush toilet? Just give me a very simple answer.
The transaction,
has to sign off about what?
The transaction is not legal unless they do. If
It
they
isn't?
if people start running that risk, we'll identify.
So wait a second. So the real estate, so that, in other words, the escrow cannot close at that point?
Not legally.
Not legally? Does the city attorney agree to that? Just quickly, yes or no?
The escrow could close, but the sale would be illegal.
Illegal in what sense?
In the sense that
Because the city didn't inspect it or something, or you're giving the prerogative to the buyer and seller to have an agreement about what happens with it?
No,
I don't know how that would be illegal.
The ordinance provides that it's an infraction, a violation of law to falsify any
Fine,
document.
we understand what that is, but who enforces? This is a self-certification thing. Where's the enforcement in this? I'm serious, where is the enforcement? At least with what I'm proposing, we have a means of enforcing. There's no more cost. There's no more cost to the to the Building and Safety Department because they're going out to inspect the gas shutoff valves anyway.
Building and Safety does not enforce your amendment, sir.
Well, they could. Under my motion, I intended...
your
Now,
motion-
please, don't tell me what my motion is. I know what my motion is. I don't know what Building and Safety, Public Safety did with the enforcement, but it was intended to have a parallel inspection. Now, the gas shutoff valve is inspected by Building and Safety. Is that correct?
Not necessarily.
That's correct.
Okay, my motion was to have it run parallel with that and inspections done at the same time. So, so I don't know how that came out, but that's the way it should read. And if it doesn't read that way, I will amend the Public Safety Committee motion to state that Building and Safety be responsible for the enforcement of this when they inspect the gas shutoff valves. You give me a second on that, Laura?
I think the record should show that.
Okay.
That there.
Wait a second. Give me a second on that? Okay. Now what?
I believe the record should show that many of these gas shutoff valves are installed by the gas company, and they are not inspected by Building and Safety.
But we authorize those.
All right, Mr.
And they
Benson.
also have...
So you don't have very complete coverage.
Okay, what I'm saying to you in conclusion, I won't talk again, John. I think that if the real estate industry had really taken an interest in this legislation when it came forward the first time, Joel, I guess maybe you did vote with me. I thought I was the only no vote on it. And I voted no simply because of the fact that it would implement and make difficulty in closure of escrows. I thoroughly support the program. The only problem is the time frame, and I would urge the council to give me an aye vote on the Public Safety Committee.
All right, thank you. Mr. Ridley Thomas.
Next question, Mr. President.
Mr. Ridley Thomas moves the previous question. Prepare the roll on the previous question. Prepare the roll on the previous question. Tabulate the vote.
7 ayes, 6 noes.
All right, it did not pass. All right, Mrs. Chick, you have the floor.
Yes, and briefly, colleagues. In terms of using the enforcement as the cutting-edge argument on which way to create this program, it dawned on me in listening to the debate that the arguments for the program as it has existed since January 1st are based on the ease of self-certification. This has been a program that has worked very successfully as a voluntary incentivized program. Now we're saying we want to expand it, and we're making it a government-mandated program, but we're basing it on distrust that the buyer, who is the one who benefits the most in terms of self-interest, matched with the benefits for local society at large, that we don't trust the buyer to self-certify within a year. I do have that trust that it can work. I want water conservation to be expanded, and I ask for your support of the Public Safety Committee report.
Okay, Mr. Hernandez.
Mr. President, I call for the question.
I want to second that.
All right, move the previous question. Prepare the roll on the previous question. Tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
See, Mark, he got 13 votes. You got only 7.
I withdrew the motion in deference to the Chair of Public Safety, who I didn't know wanted to speak. Otherwise...
Okay, the debate is cut off.
I move for reconsideration.
What do we have before us? First item.
We have an amended motion by Mr. Bernson, Mr. Savornich regarding building safety being responsible for enforcement.
What is the motion?
Yeah, the Public Safety Committee.
The first motion made was my motion to adopt the Commerce Committee report. The second one was Mr. Bernson's motion to substitute the Public Safety Committee report.
So if we substitute Mr. Bernson's motion, then we'll vote on his. All right, prepare the roll on Mr. Bernson.
This is on whether to substitute?
To substitute.
I urge a no vote.
Prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
5 ayes, 8 noes.
That failed. Now we have Ms. Galanter's motion. Prepare the roll on Ms. Galanter's motion. Tabulate the vote.
9 ayes, 4 noes.
That is approved. The next item.
Item number 14, called special.
Mr. Hernandez, you called 14 special?
I wanted you to go and do it.
It was 14 and 15, Mr. President. I just think that as part of Proposition K, we wanted the public to have a clear understanding of the proceedings of of the issue, and I wanted to make sure the department gave a report of what's before us, a public report before we cast a vote, and that's why I called it special. There was a recent article in the Daily News, and it was questioning long-term bonding, but this is not a vote on long-term bonding in terms of the projects they were talking about. It's some of the short-term projects, and I just would like an overall report so that people understand what we're doing at this time. And if Mr. Deaton wants to give it on behalf of the steering committee. And then I have a few comments I want to make after that.
Mr. President, members of the council, what you have before you is a revision to the Prop K expenditure plan, basically allowing for short-term bonding for some specified projects. Those projects are Point Furman Park, Lincoln Park Lake, Shadow Ranch, Lemon Grove, and Hazard Park. In most of these instances, we're suggesting you have adopted a 5-year plan. We're moving these up to be through short-term bonding to allow for them to be done immediately. They're all neighborhood parks that have either safety problems that we think need to be addressed immediately, or in the case of Hazard Park, a serious deteriorating infrastructure that needs to be replaced immediately. This has most of this will be funded within Prop K, but there is a $230,000 general fund impact. But we believe that's, given the conditions, the safety conditions and the potential for safety problems in those parks, and also in the case of the serious deterioration, that this is a wise investment, and we recommend approval.
Anyone else want to be heard on this? This is on both items?
Right. Item 15, we might as well consider both items at the same time. Item 15 is a report from the local area parks, citizens participation. There's a report from each organization that is kind of overseeing and looking out for each project.
Okay. We have 14 and 15 before us. No other discussion? Prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Those are approved. Next item.
Now is the time for public testimony and non-agenda items.
Okay, we have a 10-minute public hearing. Okay. Leonard Rose. And then Marianne Geyer. Okay, Leonard.
Dear City Council, LA City Hall, review all the month in January 1999 when I make a speech for the safety of you and me and the people in California through our leaders' authority to make the law to be #1 in our state around the world, to be safety, all parents and children to have better nation and better world without people get hurt or killed of any accident when a danger come. That means you have to be cautious of all the time. January 1999 of all month we talk about safety center to be safe in our community in all city. I talking driver and pedestrian safety rules, flyers of safe move and DME driver handbook to obey the law in our city and state we live in. The Bible said, obey the law, authority, and land. This is the last speech. Driver and pedestrian safety 100% rules to all public safety center, to every police headquarters, every city hall meeting, through all mayor, school, parents, DMV book, place, rack, MTA, foothill, on the rack, take one. And then help one at hiring more police officers, security guard, new job opening, traffic safety, undercover officer, crosswalk in school, highway, street, freeway, business area of all city where people speeding too fast to obey safety rules, DMV handbook, safe move flyer. Reason I say this to make easier for you and me and other people. Here the address and children book, coloring book, address and leaders authority of state. And then This other one, save innocent people, less accident, Senate, more accident. We hear it on the news, a newspaper when life taken away. Remember, people have more medical treatment age 60, 70, 80, 90 year old if they're very sick and ill and medical problem. And I got that letter to give to Councilman, the Mayor Richard Reardon, and to Bill Clinton and Grave Davis, and the address is there. And I got 15 DMV book here too, and it's very important.
Mr. Rose, thank you. Marianne Geyer. Candido Mars.
Thank you, Mr. President, council members. You know, when I was a young man growing up in Colorado...
You got a good memory, Candido.
When I was growing up in Colorado, sometimes if I would cross through a certain area, I would be chased and called racial epithets. And I swore that when I was that young person, that when I grew up, that I was going to make sure that when I grew up, that I would do everything to make sure that didn't happen to others. And I would make sure that racism would come to an end. Well, here we are in 1999, and a principal was attacked on Monday, beaten by cowards that lay away hidden behind bushes. And it's absurd that we allow this to happen. Mr. President, council members, we have to send a strong message that in the city of Los Angeles today, everybody is part of the program, and that each and every one of us must take the responsibility to educate our kids, and that we must do everything to protect the rights of others. You know, racism may have been a part of Los Angeles' past, but it cannot and will not be tolerated as part of Los Angeles' future. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Candido. Leonard Ross.
The name is Larry Ross and not Leonard. I would like to begin by saying that there are two entities within this nation, the federal government and the state government. Of course, the state government has its subsidiaries or subdivisions. Therefore, victim Larry Ross, his sons, and his family and other members. Crimes against these victims. I have been the victim of repeated harassment. I have been subjected to constitutional and civil rights violations. I have had my ideas, works, and projects ripped off by unprincipled, unscrupulous individuals, businesses, as well as this government, by it continuously allowing such outlandish and illegal conduct to continue. Perpetrators in these crimes are DC Comics, Marvel Comics, Channel 13, Channel 11, Channel 9, Channel 7, Channel L5, Channel 4, and Channel 2. 103.9 FM radio, 104 I think that K-Big 104, among others. These abuses and violations goes back as far as the 1980s. I began to bring this information to the attention of various officials no later than 1987, I believe, amongst which was the Department of Injustice. Later, the FBI were made known of the abuses, and other civil rights organizations and agencies within this city and county. But yet nothing has been done. I began to come in here, as I have made mention of, in 1997. But information was circulated within this building, I should say the building across the street, as early as 1990. And I believe once again, no later than 1992. As well as the various news media that was located within the City Hall at that time. But still, nothing has been done. But this, character assassination. My name has been dragged through the mud. I have been subjected once again to threats, And as recently as this week, as I was sitting on a a bus stop bench, individuals within a car drove by, and as they did, they threw something at me. Well, they knew exactly where I was. They should have came and should have been men's. I keep hearing the word being manly. Everyone I have contacted thus far has been unmanly in their actions when it comes to addressing the issues which I have been bringing before the nation. Remedies enacted. As I just stated, nothing has been done. And the question is, why? If a crime has been committed, then those who have committed the crime should be at least questioned concerning the alleged offense. But as I have stated, nothing has been done thus far. Why? Is it because of my skin? Is it because of the insignificance, at least in the minds of those who have the authority and the responsibility, that legal as well as moral responsibilities to investigate such matters? Now, what should be done? Well, we know once again when crimes take place, something should be done. But in my case, when crimes are committed against me, nothing is done. But when I do not commit a crime, something is done. I am thrown in jail. And 1998, I believe, from January 26th until September the 9th of 1998, I was incarcerated for 7.5 months for nothing. I had done nothing, but yet my freedom was denied me. I was denied due process of law. I was denied that, which include a fair trial, proper representation, and a right to question witnesses. This should not take place in the city of Los Angeles, much less within the Union of United States of America. Thank you.
Richard Robinson.
Mr. President, members of council, Secret Service agents, special operations officers of the Capitol Hill Police spoke with me in the rotunda about security in these chambers 6 years ago. Mr. Ferraro, it was an informal chat. We need metal detectors at these doors. Here at the entrance to this chamber and on the second floor, Los Angeles and Main Street's entrances to protect Molly. Thank you.
There's 4 seconds over, so we were perfect. Public comment period is closed. Anything else before the council?
Motions for posting and referral.
If there's no objections, unanimous vote.
Council members' request for excuse for attendance at council meetings. Councilmember Savornich requests to be excused on Friday, May 28th for city business that meets policy.
Friday, May 28th?
Yes.
Okay, it must be San Pedro. Unanimous vote.
Okay. Ms. Goldberg requests to be excused on February 2nd and 5th due to illness, meets policy.
Unanimous vote.
Councilmember Wax, excused on February 16th, meets policy, personal business.
Unanimous vote.
Ms. Walters, Friday, March 5th for city business that meets policy.
No,
change that. Okay,
withdrawn. Okay, next item.
And Mr. Alatorre, Wednesday, February 10th, meets policy for city business.
Unanimous vote.
The desk is clear.
All right, is there anything before us? Any adjourning motions? Would everyone please stand? Everyone please stand. Mr. Hernandez.
Mr. President, members of the council, I ask us to adjourn in the name of Cora Manoli. She was 83 years old. She passed away on Sunday, January 31st of stomach cancer. Mrs. Manoli was born in Denver, Colorado. She was a resident of Lincoln Heights for over 50 years. She was president of the Lincoln Heights Friday Senior Citizens Club, a member of the International Institute Nutrition Advisory Board, and the Salvation Army volunteer. She was very dedicated to helping the senior citizens of her community, and she's going to be missed by her friends and family members.
call the roll.
Any of the council members that want to stay present, the Ernie Bernardi Awards are going to be presented immediately after the council, so anybody's interested, stick around.
Is Ernie going to give out those awards?
All right, the council is adjourned.
You are watching LA City View, Channel 35.